For anything that's sort of under an hour, I think you could probably get away with just the water, really, to be honest. And you won't need any sugars or glycogen, and you'll be fine afterwards taking in some sodium and potassium through some fruits and some food and some recovery. So, but it all depends on where you're training too, because obviously you're going to be sweating buckets in a hot country, so you might need some then, yeah. So good. And basically, we all want to make sure we don't hit the wall. Oh, here's my cursor.
Actually, can you just explain again what's that hyponatremia is?
Hyponatremia is when your sodium and potassium levels reach a dangerously low level in the body. So that you've basically diluted yourself by drinking too much water. Okay. And hyper is the opposite, so your sodium and potassium levels are too condensed. So basically, let's have a look at the student. This is a little clip of what happens when you hit the wall and you haven't got your pre-race or during race nutrition sorted out. But this poor lady, I think she's done more than her fair share of running. It's an Ironman, so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But here she comes, running through. End of an Ironman. It must be just at the beginning, at the end. So that's a. Wow. Oh, here the legs are going, yes. Agony. Oh, here we go. World's funniest walker, yeah. Oh dear. The finish line's just there, God. Yeah, I think they've
wow, that is that quite extreme?
Yeah.
And I've hit a wall, I quite like that.
Yeah, me too.
14
hours
stopping. This is what happens. It's not great for PBs, to be honest. So, yeah, as you can imagine. But that's having done a full Ironman, 14 hours of exercise. Okay, you can kind of forgive them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right, okay, so moving on to post-run. The golden window is 30 minutes after a run, and this is probably the most important, the post-run. It's most important because it's going to help you recover quicker, it's going to help you improve. So basically what you want to do is look at ideally look at liquid nutrition, because it gets through you quicker. When you've run, so you might find that you can't dig into a bowl of pasta, you know, you're quite tired, you want something quick, and a drink's very convenient. So I would recommend the sports sort of post-workout drinks are quite good for this, and it's just a convenient way of getting what you need into you. You need to find something or devise something that has a ratio of 3 to 1 grams of carbohydrates, high GI, so sugars, with protein. So 3 grams of carbs to 1 gram of protein. So if you went for 60 grams of carbohydrates, you'd have 20 grams of protein, okay? And that's in the optimal ratio for beginning to repair those muscles. Complete source of protein again, such as whey, meat, eggs and fish. Whey protein is found in all the milkshakes as a whey protein, so that's probably the most preferable one. You could have boiled eggs and fruit, I guess, if you fancy that, or a bit of meat and a white bread sandwich perhaps too. Now, so a little equation next. You need to be looking to consume 1 to 1.2 grams of carbohydrates for every kilogram of your weight, for every hour of duration equal to that of the event. So that means, for instance, if you ran for 2 hours, and if I ran for 2 hours, I weigh 70 kilos. So I'd want to take on 70 grams of carbs for the first hour, then 70 grams for the second hour, okay? Everyone got that? Makes sense? So you take your time that you've run for, and that's your recovery period in terms of taking on those high GI carbohydrates, okay? Good, and then you need to look at electrolytes. Again, there's salts and potassiums. Found in an abundance in fruit, so just make sure that, like, watermelons, loads of cantaloupe melons are perfect, bananas are really good. They've both got a good source of carbohydrates in, and add a pinch of salt to things too if they've not got those in. So just make sure you keep those electrolyte levels topped up. Okay, so they're the sort of crucial things you need to think about post-run. Okay.
Can you use Green Life? I mean, Green Life, or is that just a staple?
Yeah, it's kind of more of a staple. It doesn't have a particularly high source of protein or carbohydrates. So this sort of structure around the workout, you can kind of forget all about the healthy eating nutrition, I believe, and really go into sugars and proteins and a bit more about the science and the manufacturer's recommendations, I think, with this. And then, as soon as that period ends, you're back onto the fresh fruit, Green Life, you know, the good life.
Because this sort of bucks the usual trend.
It does, yeah, that's right. I mean, I wouldn't recommend any sort of exercise under an hour. You're probably okay with just sticking with the good natural foods. But if you're really getting serious into your training and your training runs last an hour or more, or you're doing more than one workout a day, then definitely think about this strategy. Cool. Okay. All right, guys. We'll move on a little bit. This is a little homebrew recovery drink formula. So you look at your weight in pounds or kilos to the left. You add your fruit juice, glucose, protein powder, and it gives you an idea of the calories. So it's a good little mix of what you could. It says at the bottom there, each recipe also includes 1 fruit and 2 to 3 pinches of table salt. So you can have that mix, then you can also have a piece of fruit and some table salt, and I'd have that in the first hour, and you'd be well on your way to a good recovery. Cool, I'll probably put this all up on YouTube so you'll be able to see the frames and actually digest it in your own time. So good. Okay, so caffeine as an ergogenic aid. I used this a couple of times. One to detrimental effect where I needed the loo quite quickly, and the second one I've done 2 PBs with caffeine, or in fact 3 PBs with caffeine, so it's been really good. I did an under 3-hour marathon, and I did a 37:42 10k this year, and they were both when I was buzzing on caffeine, so I can't recommend it enough. So basically what it does, it increases the body's use of free fatty acids, fats, and you spare your glycogen stores, which is all important. It also enhances the release of calcium for muscular contraction. It stimulates the central nervous system, neurons and cardiac muscle. It lowers the rate of perceived exertion, so you feel like you're working out at a lower rate than you actually are. So it almost blocks off that sort of that effort. And if you're a habitual user of tea, Coke, coffee, you need to give yourself at least 4 days to wash out all the effects to actually then get the best benefit on the race day, okay? So I know myself, I really struggle to do that now because I drink coffee like it's going out of fashion, but if I was coming up to a race I probably would certainly give it a try because I know it really helps me on race day. So, you need to be looking to consume between 200 to 600 milligrams of caffeine, okay? Which equates to about 2 to 5 cups of strong coffee, espresso type. And that is largely dependent on what you feel. You've got to experiment with this, okay? Don't just pop 8 Pro Plus 10 minutes before a race and feel like, you know, you're going to go for it. I've found Pro Plus is best, and certainly the documents and research I've read have found that Pro Plus is better for ingestion than taking it from coffee or Coke or what have you. Peak blood, so the time at which your caffeine levels are highest in the blood is between 60 to 90 minutes post-ingestion. So if you want to be buzzing for the start of a race, you need to be thinking about taking those Pro Plus tablets about 90 minutes before. So somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half before, okay? Cool. It can cause heart murmurs, and it does give you gastric upset if you get the wrong dosage. So I highly recommend you to experiment with these before you get going on them. But I certainly think it definitely helped me block out the pain and the torture when I was trying to push a bit harder. So it's definitely worth it. A lot of the athletes now use it, but I think there's certain, they do get tested on it, and you can't have a certain level in your blood, so, but it's definitely used as an aid by them. Cool, okay, we're going to look at barefoot running now. So,
sorry, Mike, how do you sort of cancel out the diuretic effect though of caffeine?
well, it doesn't, research really hasn't, no, there isn't an diuretic effect now. It's minimal, shown to be minimal, so there's not really an effect that's going to affect you much. Okay. So, yeah, so it's no longer a problem. Okay, so we're going on to barefoot running. So, barefoot running became less popular with the introduction and development of running footwear. Obviously, a century ago, footwear wasn't such a big market, so a lot more people ran around in bare feet. And certainly in less developed countries, people still do run around in bare feet, and you have barefoot tribes and whatnot. Soft, heavily padded and cushioned footwear has changed our running gait from a 4-foot ground strike, using the foot as a natural shock absorber, to a heel strike where all impact will be absorbed through the body, with the cushioning of the shoe acting as a decelerator to downfall. So basically, you can almost, I can demonstrate it with my hand here. If I was to slam my hand in, that's quite a powerful shock. But if I was to put my fingers down, you can see how my hand takes the load and cushions it. Okay, so it's a much less violent slap. I'm feeling that through my hand while I'm not there. So similar principles. So just going to show you these couple of videos here. Shows you a good heel foot strike and then a good 4-foot strike. Well, not the back heel foot strike, yeah. So we're not meant to do it. So
I'm assuming it's putting the brakes on each time as well, isn't it? When you
it is, yeah, very much
so.
so.
Momentum going.
Yeah. So you can see here, you can see the large force impact graph at the bottom there. See the chaps coming all the way through, all the shocks being absorbed, taken right up through the body, and the cushioning on the trainer is, I mean, you've got 2.5 times his weight coming down on your heel. So that little bit of rubber is not going to do a particularly lot. It's just going to take a bit of the absorption out of it. And then we'll show. Oh no, sorry. I did have a little cursor for this, but it doesn't work. Cursor.
So how do you run with 4-foot now, do you?
I've run with 4-foot for a while now, yeah, but I've yet to run with barefoot. I'm building up the strength in my connective tissues at the moment so I can run without causing myself injury. So this is a guy wearing Vibrams, but he's 4-foot striking. As you can see, he doesn't land so far out, he lands more under his centre line. And it's much more soft with it's almost as if he's sort of floating there. And you can see the graph below there that it's a much more gentle force impact curve. So it's clear there that there's 2 different types. Now, double Olympic marathon champion Abebe Bikila and 5,000 metre world record holder Zola Bull both ran barefoot in their races. So it goes to show you can. And pretty much most athletes, all those top sort of Olympic athletes all run 4-foot striking. It is efficient. So we're looking at improved running economy. Obviously, for every action there is a reaction. If you can imagine the foot landing on the ball of the foot, you're actually absorbing that pressure, and what it's doing is